Hi, Church. Pastor Jeff here with another Trinity check-in. I am recording over the lunch hour today, and if you saw last week's sermon, then you can probably guess why. So I was walking through Spirit Hall yesterday, and pastors sometimes have a moment walking through the worship space, kind of a moment of gratitude, a moment of presence of God and of considering the church and the community and what's going on in it. And, I had one of those moments. And, the chairs are down. It's the middle of the week. All the lights were off. But all the same, I thought about these last 2 weeks in the season of Lent here, and about how the sermons seem to really be connecting with folks. And I say the sermons. Now, I suppose I should take a little credit, but I don't take much, because we're reading through the Gospel of Matthew right now, right? And I've had all these conversations of people who've been having these experiences, and I think most of it is simply from reading the Gospel and spending time in the teachings of Jesus like that. My messages are just like a focal point, right? They bring it home a little bit. But for some reason, I'm feeling it more this year than when we've done the other Gospels in years past. There's just a lot of experiences of God being had right now in our church. And that made me think about something I learned while I was doing my doctorate. Part of my research, I needed some adult learning theory. Yeah, this is an exciting video today, right? Bear with me. I learned from one of the standard books of adult learning theory. Jack Mesereau is the author, the scholar, and one of the things he talks about is the importance of reflection. That adult learning begins with an experience. But if we don't reflect on that experience, if we just let it happen and let it go, then it can settle in the wrong way. We can learn the wrong things from it, and it can fail to transform us as it might. So the important thing to do is to reflect and to think about what's happening. And as we do, that helps that experience to shape us in the right way. He says it better than I could and in a lot more detail. But I wanted to just take this moment to reflect on, as a church, the fact that we are having a lot of big experiences right now, that this read through of the Gospel of Matthew is changing us in a very good and God-like way. I know it is for me too. For me, the thing that I think I've learned most from it was from last week's sermon, and that's what I'm doing here. If you saw last week's sermon, you know that my main metaphor in the sermon was chicken sandwiches and the importance of brining the meat, because white meat gets all dry and chewy and stringy, right? If you don't, but brine doesn't just work instantly. It takes time, and in fact, the first thing it does is draw moisture out of the meat before that moisture is then drawn back in. But when it is drawn back in, it changes the meat from the inside. It restructures the proteins that are inside the meat and changes it. So when Jesus says in last week's passage, "You are the salt of the earth," to me, it kind of has two meanings. And I'd never thought about this. There's so many different meanings for that salt passage, but I'd never thought about this one in quite this way. The first thing that happens is Jesus' teachings do that to us. They act like a brine for us to change us and make us more God-like, to soften our hearts, or however you want to say it. Then God uses us to be salt for the earth, to be salt for the world, to go in and make those same changes. But it takes time. It takes reflection, as adult learning, transformational learning theory would put it. And so I want to ask you today, what is God doing inside of you? As we read this gospel together, there's so many different things in it that I would imagine God is doing something slightly different inside each one of us. So I want to ask you to think for just a moment about what God is doing in you. Now, if you haven't been reading along with the gospel, if you've missed worship these past couple weeks, please don't feel left out, because God's working in you too. It really is interesting how God tends to bring seasons of growth in churches, even in those that don't participate as much. So I want you to answer this question too. What is God doing inside of you right now? What is the salt that is brining your soul? And what are you experiencing? And reflect on it. Think about it for a moment. Consider what God is doing in you. And I think just the act of doing that will be a big step towards helping that the transformation that God is working in you to take more effect and to take better effect and to take deeper effect. Okay, so here's the other side of this. I got this chicken sandwich just so I could have a lousy prop for this video. This really is my lunch, and I'm hungry. So I'm going to eat it now, and I hope you are having a good afternoon by the time you see this, church. And I hope that whatever change God is working in you, that it's as delicious as this sandwich is going to be for me in just a moment. This Sunday, we continue the journey. It's stories of Jesus' healings. And I don't know, chapters 8 and 9 in Matthew, I wrote a good phrase in the sermon. It's like an ER without a triage nurse. It's just problem after problem after problem, and Jesus had to have been so overwhelmed. And so this Sunday we're going to talk about what happens when we're overwhelmed by everything going on in the world, everything going on in life. And we're going to see what we can learn from how Jesus handles that moment for himself. I hope you'll be there, but whatever God is doing in you, I hope you'll reflect on it, and I hope you'll learn from it. See you soon, church.